County Sheriff Brandon Barnes, and I want to express my appreciation to everybody who has taken the time to tune in tonight and view this. Just real briefly, we're going to go around and just do some panel introductions. This is a ongoing video presentation, town hall meeting. We started these a few months back, and we're trying to hit each of the districts. And so tonight we're focused on District 1, as well as the city of Live Oak, which of course is in District 1. If you haven't had an opportunity to send in any questions and you'd still like to do that, please know that we are monitoring the social media pages. You can also email my administrative assistant, Sarah Davis. She is here tonight monitoring her email, and that email is sdavis, D-A-V-I-S, @co.sutter.ca.us. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to email Sarah and she'll get those to us. Or you can just chime in on social media as well. We're monitoring that. So thank you again for everyone for taking the time to join us tonight. We'll just kind of go starting to my left and allow the panel to introduce themselves. So I will defer to our supervisor.
My name is Ron Sullinger, and I'm the current Sutter County Supervisor for District 1 here in Sutter County.
Hey, my name is Scott Smallwood. I'm the Undersheriff for Sutter County Sheriff's Department.
I'm Lieutenant Craig Hungridge, assigned to the city of Live Oak.
Hello, and I'm CSO Becerra.
Hello, I'm Community Service Officer Paige Tarkey.
And I'm Community Response Officer Andre Lacan.
Okay, thank you, everybody. So our agenda tonight, each of us is going to take about 5 to 10 minutes just to share some information with you. And then at the conclusion of that, we'll answer any questions that may come in. Hopefully, we'll keep this to right around an hour and be respectful of everyone's time. So I'll go ahead and start, and I just wanted to kind of acknowledge a couple events that we've got coming up, as well as one that we just finished, which was Shoot with the Sheriff. It's kind of our annual event. This is the second year we've been able to do that, and it's specifically for our CCW holders. We get an opportunity to meet with them and go over a little training at the Sheriff's Range and interact with them a little bit. And so we just did that last week. It's highly successful and just a good day. So I would just encourage you that if you are a CCW holder, look out for that event in future years. Hopefully this next fall we'll be able to put that on again. Because again, very well received, and I think it's a good day of education and training for everyone. The next thing that I really wanted to mention, you've probably seen on social media that this upcoming Saturday we have our trunk or treat, which will be just out back behind the Sheriff's Department. There will be cones, so it'll be clearly marked. We recognize some of the challenges right now with COVID, and so we really wanted to have an opportunity to, make sure the kids were having an opportunity to dress up and enjoy the celebration of Halloween and do some trick-or-treating. And so that starts at 6 o'clock. It goes till 9 o'clock this Saturday night. So please give some consideration to coming out and driving through that. We've got vehicles to be decorated. We've got some static displays that I think you'll find very entertaining. And we'll all be dressed up and handing out candy for the kids. So that'll be coming up. And then the next thing, Daisy may touch on this later, but Shop with the Cop, which is the program she runs and very successful every year. And, Daisy and I haven't had a chance to talk about some of the COVID restrictions or what that might look like in December. But rest assured, we are moving forward with that. We might have to modify it a bit, but Shop with the Cop is right around the corner as well. So, like I said, I'm sure Daisy will touch on that here in a little bit. Last night, myself and members of my command staff, including the undersheriff, met with the grand jury. That process is underway. We had a very good conversation with them. They asked a lot of good questions about our organization, about some of the things that we'd like to accomplish moving forward. So I was very appreciative of their time. Tomorrow they will be visiting the department and doing a tour of our jail facility. So that process is underway. If you looked at last year's grand jury report, there were some recommendations there, and we were able to successfully meet some of those recommendations, including the purchase of a full body scanner for our jail. One of the things they had discussed with us was, a way for us to enhance our security measures at the jail and keep things like narcotics and some types of weapons out of the jail. And so I will tell you that that was purchased. We did not use general fund monies for that. We had some money set aside we were able to use. And so far, it's been very successful. This is the first week through training and everything that we've actually been able to use it. And we've already had somebody admit to trying to smuggle narcotics into the jail, and that was before they even got to the scanner. Just the mere presence of it made them reconsider their life choices. And so we're glad to see that some of the recommendations from the grand jury, we're able to follow those and actually make positive changes for the Sheriff's Department. So thank you to our grand jury, and we look forward to working with them throughout this next year. Lastly, before I defer to our supervisor, I just wanted to kind of go over some of the statistical information for the city of Live Oak and then some of the surrounding areas. I won't go into a lot of depth, but I just think it's important to highlight a few different things. If you looked at the overall calls for service and our universal crime reporting statistics that we have to report to the federal government, I went back and I kind of did a 3-year sampling of these. And so going back to 2018, of those crimes that we're required to report, which are major crimes, rapes, robberies, assaults, burglaries, larcenies, stolen vehicles. So in 2018, there were 190 of those types of crimes that we had to report. 2019, that number decreased to 172. And so far this year to date, with 2 months still to go for this calendar year, we're at 121. So again, another decrease. And I know you'll get a chance to hear from Lieutenant Hungridge here in a few minutes, who actually supervises Live Oak. I think that's a direct reflection of, the quality of officers we have up there and the hard work that they're doing, that we see those types of decreases. And then outside the city of Live Oak in District 1, very similar numbers. Again, last year there were 36 of those types of crimes that we had to report. And then year to date so far, there's 29. So I would anticipate, the average by month looks like at the most 4. And so even then, I still think we're going to come well short of the previous year's numbers at 36. So if anybody has more interest in this type of stuff, again, I think it was about a month or so ago, I did a 60 Seconds with the Sheriff video that you can find on our Facebook page. It shows you how to use our department website. There's actually some crime data on there that you can go up and look for your respective areas. So I would encourage you to go back and find that particular video and look at our website. You can find that information there, and it'll help you kind of walk you through how to do that. It's pretty simple. The other thing I just kind of wanted to point out, again, looking at some of these uniform crime reporting numbers, again, assaults, burglaries, larcenies, and stolen vehicles, each year we've seen a decrease in those from 2018 to 2020 year to date. And so as an example, like in the area of larceny, the previous year there were 83 reported. This year there are 57. So again, just a tremendous job by everybody that's up there. The other couple stats that I always like to throw out, because I think they're important to know, are just the general calls for service and then the proactivity that we see from our officers. And so I will tell you that this year so far, up in the city of Live Oak, there's right around 4,500 calls for service, which is a pretty significant number. And then I will tell you the proactivity from our deputies. These are stops where they either make a traffic stop, or they do a consensual contact with somebody, or they contact somebody riding a bicycle on the wrong side of the road, those types of calls. So far there's just over 7,000 of those for the year. So to put that in perspective, over the course of a 365, day calendar year, there's a lot of proactivity that's going on in addition to those calls for service that we talked about. So, very proud of the work that's going on up there, and I'm sure Lieutenant Hungridge will kind of mirror that sentiment here in a few minutes when he talks. But that's kind of the highlights. But again, if anybody has questions and would like to go into that in a little bit more depth, or you have questions about a specific type of crime, feel free to reach out to my office and talk to Sarah, and she'll get you in touch with me, and we'll get your questions answered for you. So I've got a few more things that I'll address a little bit later, but I want to give everybody else ample time to go over some talking points. And so thank you again for letting me speak for the last few minutes, and I will now defer to our supervisor.
Thank you, Sheriff. And on behalf of the Sutter County Board of Supervisors, I'm sure I speak for all 5 of us. We are extremely happy with the sheriff and his group of deputies and the whole organization for the proactive nature that we have been able to see coming from our sheriff's department. And we thank you for that, because that's certainly a big part of the Board of Supervisors' day-to-day agenda is making sure that our sheriff department and our public safety is in good hands. And as far as this particular supervisor is concerned, we could not be happier with the performance that we have seen. And I happen to live south of Live Oak in a rural area in District 1. Some of our concerns have to do with response times for the rural folks. Again, everyone should be aware that probably 70% of those folks that live in District 1 live within the confines of the city limits of either North Yuba City or Live Oak. So there's about 30% of the people that live in the rural areas, and they understand how important it is to have a relationship not only with the Board of Supervisors or their supervisor for that particular district, but to have a relationship with the sheriff. Because although the city of Live Oak has a great relationship with Officer Hungridge, there's some area in between Yuba City and Live Oak that the sheriff covers, and by the same token, we like to make sure that everything is going well there. As a supervisor, I haven't had any complaints at all with the sheriff's department, so again, I commend you guys for being very proactive and attacking the problems before they happen. In Sutter County, we are dealing with some of the same issues that you hear about on TV and you read. Lately, it seems as though we've been inundated by people that are saying, open us up, open us up. We tried that early on, and what folks need to understand is Sutter County, different from Yuba City and Live Oak, is considered a sub-branch of the state of California. Hence, we are kind of under the control of the governor, like it or not. And what we found a few months ago when we decided to try to appeal to his nature of one size doesn't fit all, especially us, we think we know more. The next thing we knew, we had a group of ABC agents come in and begin threatening to close down all of the bars and restaurants. So, and by the same token, he threatened to hold up funding for the county if we didn't do things his way. So the outcome of that kind of is we've learned that the governor, like it or not, has a little bigger hammer than we do as a county. So we have tried to, everyone that's listening should understand that the board as a whole would like nothing better than to be able to say, let's open everything tomorrow. That's a very difficult thing to do, and we've suggested that there are some risks involved, but every business that believes they should open in order to survive, that's up to them. We have tried to provide additional funding for those businesses. We do not want to see our economy locally collapse, and this pandemic has certainly not been good for our local economy. But just so that those folks understand, the supervisors can't do a thing about opening and or saying to the governor, yeah, never mind, we're going to do what we want to do, because we tried that in the past and we learned that, as I said, his hammer is a little bigger than ours. We are trying to find ways of dealing with another major problem, which is the homeless problem, to give these gentlemen the legal way of legally enforcing our no camping ordinance, which they stopped when we tried to enforce that initially. Again, we have gone as much as we can to try to be able to find a way satisfactorily that accommodates everyone from the judges in Sacramento to the governor, finding a way to allow them to legally enforce our homeless situation. We have added temporary shelters, which I think is certainly been a plus. We are currently, recently, a conduit only in acquiring the motel south of town that we will turn over to Habitat for Humanity to be a piece of property that's 62 rooms that will provide low-income housing, not homeless necessarily, but low-income housing for those folks that maybe only get a $900 a month Social Security check and need a place to live. Otherwise, they can't afford, it costs that much to rent a one-bedroom apartment or a studio in this community. So this will be an excellent deal, and it's all funded by the state and the feds. Isn't costing Sutter County a dime, but it will create, again, some additional sources of low-income housing, and maybe the rents will be, that they collect will be $200 or $300 a month, It's going to be based on about a third of whatever the check is that the folks are getting. And there are a number of folks that are elderly or seniors that are disabled, and that's the only funding they get is a $900 a month Social Security check. So rather than be homeless, we hope that this will provide them with an opportunity to at least have a piece of the rock, so to speak, and be able to comfortably know that they can live in a facility of their own that is secure, that's affordable, and we're just as happy as can be, and it remains to be seen. Habitat for Humanity has been very cooperative. We are looking forward to seeing that materialize. But aside from that, our problems, again, our budget problems, we do not have the funding that we necessarily had in years past. Who knows what's going to shake out in terms of the funding availabilities that affect all of us. That will affect the sheriff's budget, will affect the safety budget, and all of the budgets within the county. So for the most part, we've done fairly well. We hope to continue to do that. As I say, we could not be happier than what we're seeing from our local law enforcement. And I'm sure that the fire departments are having the same squeeze that we're all feeling. But speaking as a Sutter County supervisor, I can't think of anything other than the regular problems you read about in the newspaper that we're trying to deal with as best we can. But thank you so much for including us in part of your unit that you're holding here this evening. And again, for many of the folks listening out there, our phone is always open and our door is open. So talk to us if you have a problem. We'd be glad to respond. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Next, Under Sheriff Scott Smallwood's going to talk about some of the personnel issues that we've been addressing through the Sheriff's Department and some of the innovative ideas that he's come up with. So I'll defer to Scott.
Okay, thank you. So talking about staffing and how we have been trying to accomplish getting full staff, it's been a challenge a little bit. When we first got into office, we were down quite a bit of positions when it comes to the deputy side, as well as correction side and dispatch. But with the support of Sheriff, County Council, Board of Supervisors, we've been able to create some different ideas and thought process when it comes to recruiting, and also when it comes to just like hiring process, and it has helped us tremendously. Now on our correction side, we're basically full staff. We're down just a few more spots, but we have some people in backgrounds. In our dispatch spot, we are down a couple, but we have some people in backgrounds and our process. On the deputy side, we're a little bit struggling, but it's not a struggle that I don't believe is bad. I believe it's something that we see a light at the end of the tunnel. We are down quite a few spots, but we have some options that we're utilizing right now. So with the support of the sheriff, we're able to now send recruits. And so Sutter County has never sponsored anybody through the academy. We currently now have 2 in the academy, and they actually just texted me today and just passed their physical agility test. And so they only have about another month left and they'll be graduating. We actually also hired someone that's in that academy as well. So we'll have 3 coming out of that here in early December. So that's been a positive influence. So with that positive influence and a little arm wrestling, and as you can see how big the sheriff is, it was tough. It took both of my arms to convince him. We are going to send 4 more in January. And I think that's a process that I think we'll continue to look at. And the reason why is if we invest in people, they'll invest in us. And I believe if we give some people some opportunities, academies aren't cheap. Like if you can talk to many deputies that have been working for a while and they had to pay for it themselves, like myself, I had to work a full-time job when I went to academy many years ago. And so it is difficult. So if we are willing to invest in people, then hopefully they'll invest in us, and that's our goal. And it has worked. The 2 current ones that are in the academy now, one was a probation officer with with Sutter County, and she wanted to come and be a deputy. And I expect her to do phenomenal things. The other one, he was a cadet with us, and then was working at a correctional facility somewhere else, but he wanted to come back to Sutter. And so we're looking at that. So there is a bright light. I know people always talk about staffing, and it is a challenge. And I think it's a challenge in all departments. I mean, in all agencies surrounding us. I don't think it's just us as Sutter. But we do have a challenge because, you know, we do lose out to other agencies that make more money than us. But again, if we can change the culture, which we have, change the environment, invest in people, sometimes that itself will keep people here. On top of that, I will give kudos to the community, because that's another reason why people want to work for us, because of today's social injustice, some places don't have the support that we get from Sutter County. The Sutter County citizens support us. I mean, I have deputies that say that it's nice that they know they're going to be working, you know, way out in Robbins or East Nick, and if something happens, they know that they have community that will come out and help. And so that's big, and it's a big recruitment tool. So I commend our community for that, and I appreciate it, and you know, ask that you guys continue doing that, because that helps us out a lot. Since we got the 4, we did a little recruitment testing, and I will say that it was positive. We had people from out of the area, Bay Area, Los Angeles, that are interested in coming to Sutter County and working for us. I mean, so we've obviously done something right. We had 16 people test on the physical agility, and all 16 did a really good job, and it was a good group of people that I think that we're going to get some solid candidates, and so I was excited about that. So I think our recruitment and our ideas are working. Some of the other ideas that the sheriff has made changes that has helped us, we lowered our age for the jail. We can now hire at 18. Before they had to be 21. And that worked. We ended up hiring one of our cadets. It just turned 19 years old. And that helps us because now we can get them into working in the jail, get them some experience. And then, you know, maybe in 5-6 years when they're older, if they want to come out in the streets, then again, they're invested in Sutter County. So I think those are the ways that we're going to continue to strive to improve our staffing levels, and I believe it's going to work. Like I said, right now we're low, but I see a light, and I think it's a positive light, and I think we'll continue to do that. So, so I think staffing right now it's tough, but it's getting better, and I'm excited for it, and I'm excited for what I think our future is going to bring.
Great, thank you. And Under Sheriff, I just wanted to commend you as well as our Human Resources Department. I know you guys have been working hand in hand on getting some of these things done. And just for clarification, I mean, it's not as easy as just snapping your fingers. Sometimes, like in the case of the recruitment position, we had to get a whole new job specification, which means writing those and getting those before the board for approval. And so, you know, even our board showing their support and recognizing that we're trying to do new things and be innovative. And then on top of that, again, a point that you made, which I just kind of want to reemphasize is, you know, in the case of one of the people that we chose to sponsor and send to the academy, she was already a Sutter County employee at another department. And so she's already vested in this community, in this neighborhood, and she's raising her family here. And those are the kind of people that we want working for us because we recognize their value. And so again, to Scott's point, you know, investing in people and knowing that they'll invest back in you, I think has gone a long way. And so I appreciate you twisting my arm and making me go down this path with you. It's appreciated. So next I want to defer to Lieutenant Craig Hungridge. And I'd just like to point out, as most people know, that the city of Live Oak is a contracted city and that we provide services for. And so Craig actually works up there and supervises that area. But I just kind of really wanted to acknowledge you publicly because you've done more than just go up there and supervise it. You've actually provided, you know, good leadership and vision. And I know you're going to talk about some of the things and the ideas that you've come up with while you're up there. But I really wanted to just acknowledge that and tell you thank you for the work that you've been doing because it's been a tremendous help for us up there. So we'll defer to you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Yeah, my name is Craig Hungridge. Been with the Sheriff's Office a long time. Had the opportunity and the desire to go to Live Oak when Sheriff Barnes was elected. That I volunteered to go there. I was not there as a deputy, but definitely wanted to go there through in my career because I saw an area that maybe I could help out. So one of the things about me is anybody who knows me knows that I like to talk. I am not shy. And so one of the things I did when I came up to Live Oak is that I started getting involved in social media and on Facebook. And there are multiple Live Oak discussion pages that I have been on. I would hope that most people in Live Oak have been on it and shared their feelings. One of the things I like about being on there is the fact that people will discuss law enforcement issues. I have posted my picture on there for people who didn't know who I was, and I also included my personal cell phone. Now, that is definitely not a requirement by law enforcement. As a matter of fact, I had a citizen question whether I was in law enforcement at all because I chose to do that. But I did that because I believe in the community of Live Oak and the direction of the Sutter County Sheriff's Office, that I wanted to be available to people who had questions. When I started monitoring these pages, there were a couple of issues that were frequently talked about. One was actually fireworks going up all times of the year. And then the other one was traffic. Now, I'm not saying those are the only two issues in Live Oak, but those were some of the main things that that came to light for me. So one of the things I did, and people noticed this past year with the support of the deputies and the sergeant that work in Live Oak, is that we went out and enforced a new ordinance that was passed for the city of Live Oak for fireworks. And so this was the first, this past year, or this year, 2020, was the first time that we went out to enforce it the way we did. It was an educational experience for all sides. And I do believe that the use of illegal fireworks has reduced because of that and because of the patrol of the deputies that we have up there. The other issue was a traffic issue. And that's one of the things that I appreciate about Sheriff Barnes is the fact that he didn't tell me, Craig, this is what I want done in Live Oak. He just said, go do what you do. So I was able to, with the support of the Sheriff's Office and City Council and the City Manager, Aaron Palmer, was to allow my ideas to run wild. And I did. And I discussed this with the sheriff just to try to kind of test the water, and it was about the traffic issue and ways to resolve that. And I thought of all the ways that we could, more people power, things like that. But I also looked at what we can do with the staffing that we currently have. And so the idea I came up with was a motorcycle in the city of Live Oak. For those of you who have been through Yuba City, you've probably come across Yuba City PD's motor unit. We will not in Live Oak have multiple motor units, though I tried. I didn't have the luck of getting more recruits like the undersheriff did. But we did get approved through the Sheriff's Office and through City Council with the City Manager, Aaron Palmer, to get one motorcycle. It is a street bike. It's not a dual-purpose bike. It's actually a BMW motorcycle. It will be a full police motor unit. We went through a process to select a deputy to handle that, and it is the person actually selected is a current Live Oak deputy. His name is Austin Beamer. Austin has ridden and gone through the testing for police motorcycles before. So the goal is to have this bike roll out early next year. It will be very noticeable in the city of Live Oak. We know that we have traffic issues on Highway 99, which are just made even more difficult with the construction. But there's also an issue on Pennington Road because all of our schools are on Pennington Road, the elementary, junior high, and high school. So this motor unit will focus on those areas. We do have some areas where we have more traffic accidents than other areas, and he will also focus on those and the ongoing speeding complaints throughout the city of Live Oak. And as well as he will help, of course, we all back each other as far as other officers out on the streets. So, my hat's off to the Sheriff's Office and the City Council of the city of Live Oak and the city manager, Aaron Palmer, for believing in something that we've never done here before with the sheriff's office. I've been here 23 years. I don't think I ever heard anybody mention a motorcycle. And the reason, of course, that we were able to do that in the city of Live Oak is because it is a contract city. So we look forward to rolling this bike out early next year, and we'll keep the community informed as we're going along, because I hope everybody's as excited about this process as I am. And my hat's off to all my deputies and my sergeant in Live Oak for working as hard as they do, and frankly, all the deputies within the Sutter County Sheriff's Office for working with the numbers that we have and having faith in the administration of this office that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. They know that we're trying to improve things and share ideas. So I encourage not just the deputies, but also the citizens to come and communicate with us. We're all approachable. I put my personal cell phone number out there because I want to hear from you. I have not cornered the market on ideas. You probably know more about your neighborhood than I do. So the more that you can share with me, maybe we can come up with an idea on how to fix any issues that we have in the city of Live Oak. Thank you, sir.
Great, thank you, Lieutenant. And again, just to mirror, I want to give a big shout out to City Manager Aaron Palmer and City Council up in the city of Live Oak for, allowing you and to work on this project and to, help find the funding. Again, I think it's also important to note, and correct me if I'm wrong, Craig, but not a general fund contribution to pay for the motorcycle from the city or county, right? It was COPS funding, which is provided by the state, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and so, just excellent vision on your part, and then, being resourceful enough to find the money for it without impacting the general fund. So just a lot of good things are going on in Live Oak as well as Sutter County in general. And that's just a great example of, us collectively as a county and an organization having vision and recognizing that we don't have boundaries. There are no limitations to what we can achieve. And so just appreciate all your leadership up there, and thank you for that.
Thank you.
So next we want to transition to our community response team. Probably some of you have heard me discuss this in the past. One of the visions that I had for the department was to develop this community response team. And it's a group of people or deputies that don't have to be pulled out of the normal call rotation to go handle a community issue. You might have, as an example, you might have a blight issue, or maybe there's that house where you constantly get 911 calls from, and you're constantly pulling a deputy to go deal with that. Well, we have somebody designated to resolving community issues, and Andre Lacan is that person for us. But we since added to that, we have a sergeant that works hand in hand with him, Sergeant Green. And then again, we added 2 community service officers, the 2 ladies that introduced themselves a little bit earlier tonight. And again, they're part of that as well. So they're there to respond and help, the community. And those are 2 positions that were new to the Sutter County Sheriff's Department. Again, I was just talking about not having boundaries, and I was thankful that our CAO and again our board trusted in us to create those 2 positions. And I got to tell you, if we were going out to draft, we probably couldn't have got 2 better first-round picks than Paige and Daisy, because they do amazing work. So I know they'll get a chance to probably chime in here in just a minute, but I'll start by deferring to Andre, who is primarily been focused on homelessness here as of late, but he's probably got that and maybe a few other things he wants to touch on. So Andre, I will defer to you.
All right. Good evening, everyone. The biggest thing I think that most folks know about or have seen possibly either on social media or in person is our cleanup efforts on 2nd Street and the removal of several vehicles and encampments, and still working on a little bit of residual trash down there. With the assistance of several community partners such as the Heart Outreach Team and Hands of Hope, we've worked to get several homeless individuals into a couple of the different shelters in our community, one being the Better Way Shelter and then some Project Room Key housing opportunities. So my hat is off to both of those entities for their assistance in making a successful project. During the most recent portion of the cleanup down there on 2nd Street, we spent about 2 weeks recently kind of finishing that up and getting it the final abatement process done and removal of a lot of items. But to put into perspective, we removed about 500 cubic yards of trash. And for people that don't have a scope of comparison, that's roughly 50 full-size dump trucks of trash and debris over about a 1/2 to 3/4 mile stretch of highway. With that said, I need to give a big thanks to Salem and Recology. They were wonderful partners in that, in making that project successful as well. So much appreciation for them and their help. With 2nd Street nearly done, we're now focusing our efforts on the Mosquito Beach area and again, trying to get folks housed and into safer housing opportunities. And the bigger benefit to that for the whole community is not only housing those individuals, but also returning that area to a good, safe, clean recreation area for the community. And as we transition from that, when we get that completed, we will then continue south along the Feather River and work to get more folks out of the area and into safe housing and back into society, and then reduce our risk for pollution and other items entering our waterways.
Any other projects you got going on that you want to mention?
The other aspects are just our ongoing efforts. We're still expanding in South County with our neighborhood watch programs. We have now neighborhood watch programs in the north end of the county, and those continue to grow. Again, if you're interested in creating a neighborhood watch group within your neighborhood or your regional area, by all means, reach out to me. I'd be happy to provide information for that and help facilitate and get that established for you.
Great. Thank you, Andre. And again, I appreciate all the work you do.
Thanks.
Greatly appreciated. Daisy or Paige, I know, Daisy, did you want to maybe plug Shop with a Cop real quick? And then Paige, I don't know if you have anything else you wanted to add. But...
Hello, Community Service Officer / Shop with the Cop Coordinator, Daisy Becerra here. We're excited to announce Shop with the Cop 2020 is in full effect. Shop with the Cop will be hosted at our local Walmart on the 2nd week of December. A little bit about the program for those who don't know what Shop with the Cop is. This event is one of my favorite events of the year. We raise funds provided by our community, and we take children in need on a shopping spree during the holiday season. The children are able to pick out gifts, toys, and clothing while being accompanied by one of our Sutter County Sheriff's employees. After they pick their items out, one of our Kiwanis Club, they wrap the gifts up and they have them ready for them to open during Christmas Day. During this event, we're able to connect with the parents and children, allowing us to build a positive interaction with our community. We understand this year has been difficult it's been difficult to host events due to COVID-19, but we're making our priority to assist our local children during the holiday season. This event, Shop with the Cop, will be a little different due to restrictions, but we will be taking all safety precautions and having a fun and safe event. I would also like to thank our community for coming together and sponsoring Shop with the Cop 2020. We understand this year is difficult time to donate, but we're always accepting donations. If anybody would like to contribute to this amazing event, please reach out to me. You can contact me through Facebook or call the office at 530-822-7307. Thank you.
Paige, did you have anything you wanted to add?
That's a lot to follow up, but I'd like to give a shout out again to our Trunk or Treat event. It's going to be held on Saturday, Halloween, from 6 to 9 p.m. at the Sheriff's Office, and it'll be a drive-through event, but we'll still look forward to seeing all of the children with their wonderful costumes and giving them candy. So hope to see you guys there.
Thank you, Paige. And since we're on you ladies, are there any questions coming in via social media? No? Sir, any questions on your side? No? Okay. I've got a couple other things I can touch on just real briefly. These are questions that I think commonly come up, and so I'll just address them just in case anybody's wondering. CCWs is always a big one, and so the question usually comes up, specifically in this COVID era, as to whether or not we're actually doing those currently. The answer is yes. We've tried to minimize the level of impact at the front counter for our record staff. So what we've been asking people to do is defer to our webpage. There's a button on there that you can click for CCWs. That will direct you to Permitium, which is a program we use to help register, and you can actually do all of your registration there online. You can either scan or photograph with your iPhone any certificates or documents that you have and send those and attach those over the computer itself. And then all we have to do is have you come in for your live scan if that's necessary, and then schedule an appointment to get you your permit. Right now for renewals, it's roughly about 2 to 4 weeks. And so again, you can do renewals through Permitium. You will have to create your profile, but once that's done, it's a little easier moving forward. The other question that comes up during COVID right now is if we are allowing people to add or subtract firearms to their CCW permit. The answer to that is yes. Again, we ask that you contact Lieutenant Matt Maples, who oversees that program, and make an appointment to have that done, and he'll give you direction on how to do that. For new CCWs, the process is about 2 months. Primarily, that's because we have to get your live scan and we have to wait for the results to come back from the Department of Justice. But once we get those back, we get you right through the process, and so that's relatively easy. So hopefully that answers your questions, but again, if not, there is some more information on our webpage as it pertains to concealed carry permits, or you can give the Sheriff's Office a call and ask, again, to talk to Lieutenant Matt Maples, and he can answer any questions that you might have. The other thing that I just want to touch on real briefly, we get asked about what's going on at the Sheriff's Department. We've done a lot over the course of the first 2 years almost 2 years now that I've been in office. A lot of amazing work, but not all of it is seen, to the public. There's a lot of things going on behind the scenes, and so I think it's important that everybody have a little bit of understanding of some of the things that we've been doing. A lot of it has to do with restructuring of the organization, and we've made a lot of strides in that area. Again, we've been able to add, a couple positions to our community response team in our 2 community service officers. So that's been a big change. In addition to that, we've added another part-time position to our finance department. We have a budget that's roughly just a little over $32 million. We had 1 finance person assigned to manage all of that, along with myself and the undersheriff and some of our division heads. And as you can imagine, with grant funding and all the different funding sources that come in from the state, there's a lot to track. And so we were actually able to create that other part-time position, and we're hoping to move that into a full-time position moving forward. One of the grand jury recommendations from 2 years ago was a perimeter fence around the Sheriff's Department itself. Unfortunately, some of our vehicles are exposed, and there have been times that things have been vandalized out back behind the Sheriff's Department, or there have been times when, we've found people back there, and we've had to, interact with them and, escort them off the property, unfortunately. So we are in the process of getting some bids for a fencing project that will completely enclose the back half of the Sheriff's Department and secure our employee vehicles, our sheriff assigned vehicles, and the property itself. And if you happen to catch the board meeting this past week, there was actually a budget amendment for that particular project that was approved by the board. And so we're moving forward with that, and I'm told probably end of August, I think we will see a completion of that project. At least that's the tentative timeline as it stands right now, and so that'll be a good thing moving forward. The other thing that we're doing is a complete overhaul of all of our policies. We've actually gone to a state-recognized program that provides legal updates throughout the course of the year, so your policies are always current and available online. So that'll be a big thing that's coming up for us. Probably the most significant thing that we've done is Central Square, which is a one solution. If you were to go into our dispatch and look at our dispatch screens, they look like playing Pong. It's what they call green screen. It's very old and antiquated. It's about 25 years old, if not more. In addition to that, our jail management system that handles all the jail records is similar. And the same goes for our report writing system. So this actual Central Square is a one solution, which means all of those 3 things I just mentioned will all be on one system. They'll all communicate with each other, and it'll modernize the Sheriff's Department in terms of our IT function, report writing capabilities, dispatch center. And so we're pretty excited about that. As an example, some of the features, you could actually take a picture of a suspect that you arrest out in the field with your cell phone. You can send that, and it will automatically become their booking photo. The jail will have access to it, where as of right now, that's not the case. And so there'll be some tremendous time-saving measures for us as an organization in that. And so we're in the process, and that should be up and running just after the first of the year. It's about a year of implementation to get that thing up and running, but we're close, and we're pretty excited about that. I think by now most people know that we had a jail expansion project that opened up last year with 42 additional beds for our jail facility, as well as an overhaul of our kitchen area and a new medical expansion for our medical staff. So that's operating well, and we're pretty happy with the final results there. As I mentioned earlier, we did purchase the jail scanner. That is, as of last week, up and running, and we're already seeing some of the benefits of that. And then lastly, and I don't want to put Andre back on the spot because he probably doesn't know I'm going to mention this, but we've developed a search and rescue team, which is something that's new to the Sheriff's Department. And Andre's got a very pivotal role in that and a lot of experience. And I don't know if you want to comment on it at all, but that's underway, and we're doing good things.
Certainly. Yeah, it's in the history of the Sheriff's Office, to the best of my knowledge, it's the first time we've had an active full-time search and rescue team, and it's a combination dive and search and rescue. We'll be expanding that out with additional resources as time and training allows. But it's going to be a wonderful resource to have for both the department as well as the community, both to serve our citizens as well as providing mutual aid for any of the surrounding counties within the state.
Great, thank you, and I appreciate all the work you and the rest of the team have been putting into that, and as far as policy development and working with the operations of emergency management and getting things up and running. So a lot of good things coming to us in the future. Lastly, I just kind of wanted to mention our annual report from last year. This is something that we're going to make a tradition moving forward, but if you didn't get a chance to see our annual report, it is available on our webpage. There's a link, just click on, and it's a good overview of the Sheriff's Department in general. Gives you an overview of each division and what you can find within each of those divisions. Highlights a lot of the work that we did during my first year in office. Lots of photos of some of the community events that we attended. And I know she probably gets tired of me saying this, but the cover art for that is actually a painting that was done by CSO Becerra, and just amazing work. And that painting is actually hanging in the Sheriff's Department right outside my office. So it's one of the first things you see when you actually enter the Sheriff's Department. So, and I just think that speaks in general to a lot of the talented people that we have at the Sheriff's Department serving this community. You know, I think people see us as law enforcement or corrections or dispatch, but we're people as well, and we have families, and we have, you know, talents and all of these amazing things that we bring to the table. And that's, for me, I would say probably one of the biggest benefits over the last couple of years is just getting to know people and, you know, learning who plays musical instruments and, you know, they're in a band or whatever it is. And so, you know, I think for the public, I just want everyone to know you have a lot of amazing men and women working for your Sheriff's Department that represent this community, and just couldn't be more proud to be among them and walking side by side with them. So I thank everybody that works at the Sheriff's Department. So I think if we don't have any questions, I think those were all the talking points that we had for tonight. Any other closing comments from anybody else? Undersheriff?
Just a little shout out for this event and the two events that we've done prior when it comes to the community showing. I mean, normally we have community events where they're live, and obviously we would love to see our community, but with COVID, we weren't able to do that. So the sheriff thinking outside the box, at least we can reach out to you this route. And I know, you know, I don't know how many we have watching, but we'll share this tomorrow. And I noticed that when we share it, you'll get, you know, double to triple the people that see it. And I know it's important to hear those things. So I appreciate all the support in that. And the big appreciation to our IT department, especially tonight, as I messed up and failed to invite them. They had no problem ruffling down here and getting it all set up so we were on time. And that just shows that how our relationships with our whole department, you know, IT, human resource, everywhere, you know, we have a really good relationship, and it's continuing to get stronger. And so that's important for our community to know that, because we need all our departments to work together. And so big shout out to you guys for helping us out there. I know Justin's in the background there, and then Scott's out here in the front, but you know, you definitely saved my tail on that one. And, you know, in the future, you know, this is definitely a good venue that we can even utilize. Even when we start going live and seeing people, it's nice to be able to share things and be able to have people watch it later. So anyways, and then just another thing for that Shop with the Cop, I just have to throw Daisy a huge bone. Last year was my very first year ever seeing that or being involved in anything like that. And I was just speechless. It's a huge and great event. So please, if you guys want to be involved in that, you know, reach out, because it's pretty amazing to see some of those kids and the things that they get, and they probably never get those kind of stuff. So it was pretty awesome to be involved in that. So I appreciated getting the invite and being able to participate in that.
Great, thank you. And again, just a reminder, come by and see us this Saturday. I know there's a lot of department employees that have been working on their costumes, and so I think we got some pretty fun stuff in store for that night. Thank you to all of my staff here, who I know are taking personal time away from family and you know, their normal routine to be here tonight for everybody. So I appreciate that. And then again, just thank you to our community. We are blessed and honored every day to be able to work and serve our community. We do this job, you know, at your will and because of the support you give us. So thank you. So we'll go ahead and conclude with that. I appreciate everybody's time, and we look forward to seeing you out on the streets. Thank you.